Welcome everybody to Gaming with Spoons. We're going to discuss the Super Smash Bros. Roster. We know at this point that Nintendo's working on a new Smash Bros. We know that at some point this year they are going to get in there and release the roster and really give us a lot of details about this. I wouldn't end up being surprised if Super Smash Bros. Ends up being the main highlight that Nintendo focuses on at E3 this year. But I thought it'd be fun to hop in there and speculate as to what first-party and third-party characters we could potentially see from Nintendo's new Super Smash Bros. Game. So with that being said, let's hop into the first character that I think would be really interesting to see, and this would none other be Isaac from Golden Sun. Golden Sun was one of the Game Boy Advance's, considered one of the Game Boy Advance's best RPGs. I remember it being really popular going through middle school and high school. A lot of people really jumping in and playing that, absolutely enjoying it. So it wouldn't be out of the question to see Nintendo possibly revisit that franchise through bringing Isaac through Super Smash Bros. Now, I do realize that there are quite a few sword-wielding characters in Super Smash Bros., but I really feel like that they could give Isaac a very distinct fighting style. Being able to incorporate synergy and use that to his advantage in battle, this could potentially make him a long-range fighter, as well as a fighter that can get up close and personal, make him a very well-balanced character for people who kind of like to have that ability to use close quarters combat, but yet also incorporate ranged attacks in there. I think that'd be really, really cool for them to go in and add. Isaac is a character that I think would just fit very, very well. It would really revitalize interest in Golden Sun, and I do want to see some more Golden Sun games on the horizon. I do think that that would be a very interesting way to go in and reestablish interest in that franchise. Another character I do want to see added into Super Smash Bros. Is Flynn from Shin Megami Tensei 4. Another sword-wielding character that I really think that they could also make a very distinct fighting edge against, especially where Flynn has the ability to go in and summon demons. I think this could potentially work very well, as we could see Flynn maybe summon demons for his special, or certain demons give him a special magical attack that he can use against his enemies. You know, being able to also swing his sword and do that would be something very, very interesting. I think it could work potentially very well. And considering that Shin Megami Tensei 4 and Shin Megami Tensei 5 is a Nintendo Switch exclusive, Shin Megami Tensei 4 and most of the other Shin Megami Tensei titles have been on the Nintendo 3DS, I do not find this out of the realm of possibility that Nintendo couldn't add this character to Super Smash Bros. I'm sure they could strike up a bit of an agreement with Atlus, considering that those games are pretty much exclusive to Nintendo platforms, and really go in and add Flynn, or maybe even another Shin Megami Tensei character in there. That would be really sweet to do as well. Another character from Nintendo franchise that I really think could work very well would be Dixie Kong. Dixie Kong could make a very interesting fighting style. I don't know exactly some of them. I think one of the biggest things that they could really do is use her hair. Whether she use her hair to attack, whether she use her hair to jump, whether she use her hair to dodge maneuvers, get out of the way of enemies, it would make a very interesting fighting style. We do have Fox, who's able just to zip past enemies and then zip to the other side, so her hair wouldn't be too out of the ordinary to use. I think that they kind of have to make it so maybe her hair wouldn't fly her so long distances to, give the players a little bit of an edge, so she just can't float around the stage continuously and not be hit. But Dixie could be a very interesting character to use. And I would love to see more Donkey Kong characters in there. Donkey Kong is one of my favorite Nintendo franchises. I absolutely love the Donkey Kong franchise. So to have Dixie in there, one of my favorite characters from the Donkey Kong franchise, be present in Super Smash Bros. Would make me really, really happy. Now, guys, let's get in and talk about potential third-party characters that could be in the franchise. Now, I would absolutely love to see Mega Man and Pac-Man make a return, as well as Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. We've kind of already seen them in the Wii U version of Super Smash Bros., so I'm hoping Nintendo can work something out to bring those characters back over. Another character from a third-party company that I would really like to see return would be Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. I think adding Solid Snake in there would be really, really cool. He worked very well in Brawl. He was a very interesting character to play. He had quite the little interesting moveset, being able to go back through Shadow Moses, hear Solid Snake's, solid Metal Gear Solid's themes in there was absolutely amazing. I loved every minute of that. I cannot tell you how many times me and my friends would get together and try to figure out Snake, or just have fun beating the shit out of each other, because Snake worked. He was a very interesting character to be used in there, and I wanted to see him come back. The next third-party character that I think would work very well would, of course, be Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot, of course, not being a Sony property anymore, hasn't been since the PlayStation. We've seen countless of entries on the GameCube and Nintendo consoles already, so it's not out of the ordinary to see Crash Bandicoot make an appearance on the Nintendo Switch's Super Smash Bros. We already are seeing the Insane Trilogy coming over to the Nintendo Switch, so I think it'd be a really cool way to even maybe show some advertisement, push some sales for the Insane Trilogy during the holiday season, and Crash would work very well. His spin move would be a very interesting thing to incorporate into Super Smash Bros. I could see them using it to throw Wampa fruits at his characters. He's got his slide maneuvers, so he could slide under an enemy and get away from an attack. It'd be a really cool. They could do a lot of cool things with Crash's character, and I'd really be curious to see the fighting style that they could potentially go with. Out of all the third-party characters that I think Nintendo are going to announce, I think Crash Bandicoot has the highest chance of actually getting into the game. Another third-party platformer character I want to see in the Super Smash Bros. Is Banjo and Kazooie. Banjo and Kazooie just scream perfection for Super Smash Bros. We've got the different movesets that Banjo and Kazooie have kind of learned over the course of their games. I do kind of want to see them keep the vehicular concepts out of the fighting style, but I mean, you've got Kazooie's Rattata, you've got Banjo's Punch, you've got his Roll, you've got the Beak Barge, you've got Kazooie, who might be able to, I don't know how they could incorporate flying, but that's something that they could look at. You have Kazooie's Clockwork Eggs that could be used as explosions. There are limitless possibilities as to what they could do with BanjoKazooie. This is also a very big possibility, because one of the things, I think it was Phil Spencer talking about it, if he would be open to BanjoKazooie coming to Super Smash Bros., and he was actually for that. I was rather surprised when I heard that he didn't have a problem with them coming to him. I'm like, yes, bring BanjoKazooie to there, because as weird as it is, I still think of BanjoKazooie as a Nintendo platform game, even though it's not anymore. That's what I grew up playing it on. That's what I enjoyed it on. So I think that'd be really cool to see Banjo kind of make a triumphant return onto Nintendo's platforms, even if it is through Super Smash Bros. The next third-party character I do want to talk about is Cosmos from the Xenosaga series. There are rumors right now floating around that Bandai Namco is potentially working on an HD collection of Xenosaga, which is supposedly supposed to be coming to the Nintendo Switch. And if that's the case, what better way to show support? What better way to announce that than talk about it during Smash Bros. Announcement? Showcase Cosmos as a character being able to be played in Super Smash Bros. Arguably the most iconic character from that game. And show her off and say, yeah, actually, you know what? The Xenosaga collection is coming to the Nintendo Switch as well. Maybe even make it like a pre-order bonus where you get the amiibo and in the collector's edition of Xenosaga Collection, and that's kind of how you get Cosmos in there. No, whatever. We'll let Nintendo work out the details. But Cosmos has a very interesting fighting style. She can use a blade. She can use a hand cannon. She can use a Gatling gun. She does flips. She has a bit of an acrobatic kind, almost acrobatic kind of fighting style. It could work so well for Super Smash Bros. You know, her flips, her fighting style. She could do some close range. She could do some ranged attacks. She, even for her special, maybe even bring in her Gatling gun or do something like that. That'd be really, really cool to see as well. Cosmos is another character that could potentially have limitless amounts of ideas that Nintendo could incorporate a fighting style into, and I think that would be awesome. Cosmos is kind of one of those characters that a lot of people know. I mean, she's kind of the staple of the Xenosaga franchise, and I think anybody who was a gamer back in the PlayStation 2 era knows who she is. And I think it would be really, really cool if that is the case with Xenoblade coming over to the Nintendo Switch for Nintendo and Bandai Namco to work on something like that. Again, not out of the realm of the possibility. Monolith Soft is with Nintendo. We do have Bandai Namco, who has a working relationship with Nintendo. We've already seen the likes of Pac-Man being added in there. There are other characters that I would like to see. I don't know how well that they could potentially be licensed over into these IPs. You know, I think, why not just RGT85 threw out Batman in his. I think Batman would be really, really cool. Though I think there's actually too much licensing there for Nintendo to even want to bother with that. But Nintendo can be full of surprises. We could get quite a few new characters released from Nintendo IPs. We could even get quite a few characters being announced from third-party IPs. I think at this point, Super Smash Bros. And what they can do are not out of the realm of the possibility. We've seen so many third-party characters at this point that nothing would really surprise me if Nintendo came out and said, yeah, these characters are going to be in there. And I'd be like, hey, that's cool. That's awesome. I can't wait to get in there and play these. But I want to hear what you guys think. What characters do you want to see come to Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo Switch? What characters do you want to see return? What characters maybe were in other entries that weren't in Brawl or the Wii U version that you'd like to see return to the Nintendo Switch? Let me know down below. Let me know what you think of the characters that I mentioned as well. What characters out of those ones that I mentioned would work best? What characters from the ones that I said you would like to see? And leave your own recommendations down below. Make a video response to it. Let the world know what you want to see in Super Smash Bros. You guys have been watching Gaming with Spoons. Be sure to hit subscribe there for me to keep up to date with all of my content. Like and share the video. And follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are going to be down below in that description box. Remember, it is still under the Spoonie Bard. I will let you guys know via video once that is updated. And most importantly, stay happy, be happy, game happy. Spoons is checking.